inquiry into Starship One's destruction concludes. An independent inquiry by the Federal Attorney's Office into the destruction of presidential vessel Starship One has produced a final report. Senior Attorney Melinda Wakoro made this statement. The loss of presidential vessel Starship One in May 3301, along with hundreds of lives, was a great tragedy. Despite suspicion that this was an attempt to eliminate then-President Jasmina Halsey, initial investigations concluded that a catastrophic malfunction of its drive systems was the likely cause. A new inquiry was opened when fresh evidence came to light, including testimonies from several members of the Federal Navy. Our final report states that there is sufficient reason to believe Starship One was destroyed by deliberate sabotage. A grand jury has determined that criminal charges should be made. We have shared our findings with the Federal Intelligence Agency, and understand that an arrest will take place shortly. The inquiry report is not yet in the public domain, but is thought to allege that illegal modifications were made to the frame-shift drive system of Starship One in advance of its destruction during flight through hyperspace.
I am your president of law and order. Our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, and others. These are acts of domestic terror.
Arrest made in Starship One criminal case. An officer in the Federal Navy Engineering Corps has been arrested for sabotaging the presidential vessel Starship One. A statement was made by Melinda Wakoro of the Federal Attorney's Office. Chief Technician Rory Webster was a department head of engineering for Starship One. Testimonies from members of Mr. Webster's team claim that he ordered unauthorized adjustments to the ship's hyperdrive systems while in dry dock, shortly before its launch in May 3301 and subsequent destruction. This case is now being brought before the Federal High Court, where Mr. Webster will stand trial for mass murder and attempted treason. There has been no comment from President Zachary Hudson, but Shadow President Felicia Winters told the press, "This was a truly horrific tragedy, and there must be justice for all those who lost their lives on that sad day." The apparent death of many Federation leaders aboard Starship One resulted in Winters briefly becoming acting president, shortly before Hudson won a vote of no confidence. There has been much media attention regarding how this event proved pivotal to both of their political careers.
I want to start by offering my full support to our state, local, and federal law enforcement as they continue to respond to the attack, bring those responsible to justice. We will not cower, we will prevail. We will defend our country, and we will defeat the evil, twisted ideology of the terrorists.
Revelation halts Starship One trial. The Federal High Court trial over the destruction of Starship One has been temporarily halted following a proffered confession from the defendant. Chief Technician Rory Webster is charged with mass murder and treason, with testimonials claiming that he ordered his engineering team to sabotage Starship One's hyperdrive systems. Crime correspondent Ethan Takahashi reported for the Federal Times. Despite a spirited performance from the defense, highlighting the absence of a sufficient motive, Mr. Webster visibly struggled in the dock last week as the technical evidence mounted. Several jury members nodded when the prosecutor called for the death sentence, should the accused be found guilty of slaughtering hundreds. The judge was about to begin her summation, when Mr. Webster's defense counsel announced that the defendant now wished to change his plea to guilty and make a full confession in return for clemency, claiming that he had acted on orders from the top. There was much discussion between the judge and legal representatives. Eventually it was agreed that the trial would be suspended while Mr. Webster's testimony was taken by the Federal Intelligence Agency, and then a suitable course of action would follow. The Federal Attorney's Office stated that a decision on resuming the trial is expected within a few days.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask for a recess.
I'd like an answer to the question, Judge.
The court will wait for an answer.
Colonel, Lieutenant Kendrick ordered the code red, didn't he? Because that's what you told Lieutenant Kendrick to do.
Object!
And when it went bad, you cut these guys loose!
Your Honor!
You had
Counsel, I'll
Marcus
hold you
inside
in
a phony
contempt.
transport!
Your Honor!
You doctored the logbook!
Damn it, Cappy!
You coerced the doctor!
Consider yourself in contempt.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!